Offensive coordinator Joey Halzle was asked about five-star freshman quarterback Nico Iamaleava and if he was as efficient, if not better, than Joe Milton in practice. What did he have to say? That, your questions, PFF grades, Ward Wednesday. It's your Wednesday Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Wednesday, everybody. Welcome into it. This is Locked On Vols. It is your team every single day. Shout out every dayers. I'm your host, Eric Kane. Thanks so much for being here and checking out this podcast. Whether you're listening for the first time or the 200th time, can't thank you enough for being here. I was talking to somebody at the DM me the other day, and I literally said, I know this sounds like lip service, but seriously, it means so much that you take time out of your day and you come and hang out with us on Locked On Vols. Hope it's an escape. Hope it's a chance where you can vent. If you disagree with me, please let me know at _Kaner at Locked On Vols. This is your forum. We're going to church this week after that, just that horrible loss to Florida, and we're looking back on it and, of course, looking ahead to UTSA for the Tennessee Volunteers. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Bird Dogs. Go to birddogs.com/LockedOnCollege or enter the promo code LockedOnCollege for a free water bottle with any purchase. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off. We promise you that. Got a lot to get into today. What did Joey Halzle say on Nico Iamaleava? A lot of people screaming, Nico, Nico. Nobody's more popular than the backup quarterback on campus. It only magnifies, if that's even possible with the Tennessee fan base, when that backup quarterback is the number one overall player in the country in the 2023 class and a five-star prospect. That's Nico Iamaleava. And I get it. I get the frustrations. I get being upset because you only score 16 points. I understand you want change. I understand you don't want to be losing again. I get all that. But I'm here to tell you there's not going to be a quarterback change at this moment. And Joey Halzle, when he met with the media, he wasn't having any of it. You got to ask the questions. I understand that. Oftentimes, people, came at us a little bit earlier in the week saying, stones, VolQuest crew, you don't ask the questions. I'm not going to ask questions I know the answer to. Just fact of the matter. I'm not going to waste my time or anybody else's time. But the question was asked, and it was a good question about Nico Iamaleava. Does he do anything better than Joe in practice, essentially? Here's that full exchange, and you can see or hear offensive coordinator Joey Halzle not having any of it. Here's what he has to say.
When you look at any deficiencies in offense, pre-snap penalties, and any other things we're asking you about, seeing what you've seen in practice, is there any area, any deficiency that would have been better if Nico was at quarterback as opposed to Joe?
No.
Why do you say that?
Because it's operation. Joe's operating at a really high level.
Again, that short and sweet. Look to the next. I actually asked the next question. Looked straight to me and said, "Go." Like he wasn't having any of it. And again, there's a lot of things wrong with this offense right now. I mean, so much wrong with the offensive line. I think coaching was pretty poor in terms of getting the play in there. The operation is what sucks right now. I mean, your trademark offensively, I did Nashville radio the other day and I said this, your trademark offensively is your tempo. If you take the tempo away, all you got's a poor offensive line right now and a mediocre quarterback. And that's not daunting, right? And that might be even shortchanging Joe, to be completely honest. I think he's been okay. But the fact of the matter is he is the quarterback. It's his responsibility. He's a huge part of the operation. And any way you want to spin it, 16 points isn't good enough. So I get it. I get the frustrations. But I'm here to tell you they're not changing a quarterback right now. That might not be the case as the year goes on, depending on how things go. But right now, there's not going to be a quarterback change. I'm telling you that right now. What else did Joey Halzle have to say about Joe Milton after going back and watching the tape? Here are his thoughts on Joe Milton's performance at Florida.
Joe was really good at his decision-making, his calmness on the sidelines. He kept the calm within the storm out there. Talking to him on the headset, man, he was, after every single drive, he was like, all right, cool, like, move on. What do we got coming next? So the guy's really even-keeled. His decision-making is really good. Was accurate with the football. Like, the guy played a good game. Was happy with that. Obviously, we can always be better. We can be pushing for our communication, for how we all get on the same page in an environment like that when it's harder to hear and it's not the friendly confines. So that's where we can keep pushing to grow. But his overall game management was very good.
So it sounds like the offensive coordinator is very pleased with the starting quarterback. And again, I would maybe say, Joey, now he wasn't great. He wasn't fantastic. But if you look at Joe Milton's stat line and say, okay, you're going to throw for almost 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns, you'd be like, all right, Tennessee's going to win this game. There's a lot going on with that, and I think number one is the operation. The operation just got to get better. But there's not going to be quarterback change right now, and the offensive coordinator was having none of it yesterday, and he spoke really highly on Joe Milton. I know that frustrates a lot of people, and that's fair. Fan is short for fanatic. That is okay. Your team just got its butt whooped and embarrassed by a rival. I get it. But I'm just here to say that there's not going to be a change at this time. We'll see if that's always going to be the case as the year moves on. Wanted to have a chance to go and answer a couple more of your questions. We're going to get into PFF grades, look at offense and defense in segment 2, Ward Wednesday in segment 3, but I did want to answer some of your questions I didn't get a chance to answer yesterday. Bennett, why is Cooper Mays not playing? Is it an injury that's is it an injury? Why isn't it clear? Starting to feel like he's sitting out for some other reason. No, he's injured. He's injured. Dude had a hernia, and he's trying to work himself back for that. He'll be at 6.5 weeks post-surgery, I believe, this week. And it's not just like normal everyday stuff where you and I could have this surgery and go back to everyday life. He's going to play SEC football. So I think he's close, and you better hope that he can get back in there. But, I mean, he's battling back from a procedure. Jonathan King says, yeah, I've got a question. What the actual hell? Jonathan, a lot of people thought that on Saturday night. Landon says, why didn't Dylan Sampson get more playing time over Small? Makes 0 sense. A lot of people agree with that, man. I like Jabari Small. I think he's brought a lot to the table. I like Dylan Sampson as well, but obviously the RB1 is Jalen Wright. They like Jabari Small on the road in the swamp a whole lot more than Dylan Sampson. I think the flow of the game didn't allow another running back to get involved, especially in the first half. There was plans to play him. That's according to Josh Heupel, but just didn't get a chance to do it. Philip was wanting to know about Dylan Sampson as well. Kurt says, what do you think is more true coming out of the Florida game? Heupel has been exposed as a head coach, or Joey Halzle isn't ready to be an OC at this level? I mean, neither, to be honest. But, I mean, if I had to pick one of the two, again, guys, this is week 3. This is game 3 of the season. I mean, I guess if I had to pick one of the two, I don't know about Joey Halzle. This is his 3rd game as OC, and this is Josh Heupel's offense, and Heupel's calling the plays. So I guess in that respect, it'd be Heupel got exposed as a head coach. But sometimes you're going to get outcoached. Tennessee was outcoached in that football game. Doesn't mean Heupel's a bad coach. Look what happened last year. Let's go on over to our messages real quick. Matt wants to say, said, I'm sure you got a whole week planned out with the show, but at some point, can you touch on Deuce Knight committing to Notre Dame, what that means for us and George McIntyre going forward? So Deuce commits to Notre Dame, and Deuce and George McIntyre were the 2 quarterbacks Tennessee was after in the 2025 class. It's always been Tennessee, viewed George McIntyre as kind of the guy in the 2025 class. So in my opinion, this doesn't really change. I mean, Deuce is obviously a guy that they like and they'll continue to talk to because recruiting is never over with until you sign that national letter of intent. But it just means you're going all in on George, and George is your guy because those were your top 2 options, in my opinion. And you got to go all in on George, which I think Tennessee's already been in that situation before. So again, I think Tennessee's already kind of been in that spot by going all in on George over Deuce Knight. But Deuce Knight does commit to the University of Notre Dame. Let's go to Brian. Brian says, confidence level 1 to 100 that the Vols can beat UTSA this weekend. Mine is 70 to 75. Mine is 80 to 85. Tennessee should win this game by a couple scores. We'll have more on UTSA and kind of that prep as the week goes on, but this is a game that Tennessee, I feel like, is going to get right game for sure. And UTSA has not been to this point nearly as explosive offensively as it was last year. It was one of the better offenses in the country, top 15. Also goes on to say, need to get Nico 2 to 3 series. Yes, it would destroy Joe, but he needs to tell Joe the plan was to be getting him reps already, and he needs them. Non-zero chance Nico gets no reps this weekend because it stays close. That's where we are. Yeah, Nico needs some work, and all those younger players need some work. You need to go right the wrong of Austin Peay. Austin Peay, you needed to play younger players. You couldn't. You need to play younger players this week. I mean, just go and make that happen. Goodness gracious, make that happen. A couple more. We don't have a whole lot of time here, but a couple more. We'll go over to Locked On Vols account. C. Worm says, do you think Joe Milton is being overcautious because of all the negative pass or press remarks he's gotten? No, I do not. He sees it, but I mean, if you are a Power 5 football player or a professional football player, you got to be used to press, good and bad at this point in time. Why is our secondary not laying the wood to people? Are they afraid of getting penalized or just not wanting to because of injury of themselves or the fact that they'll lose playing time or what? It's football. Hit somebody, wrap up. I think you're referring to the Kamal Hadden play, and Norm, that was straight up laziness right there. All right, Bruce on the Loose says, my concern now is that Austin Peay was not a fluke. I want to start with, I am a Joe Milton fan. I want him to win and play well. I don't like the narrative that he is a new quarterback. He isn't. He started in Michigan and Tennessee. This isn't his first year, and that he has started a season as his team. He has been a part of the system for now 3 years. Should we not expect him to play better? Sure, his stats look good, but stats are not everything. It feels like this offense is not as fast as last year. You're dang right it's not. Next, how do you fix the O-line? Where are we on O-line recruiting? Finally, how do you fix the road Krasnoid issues that seem to be having? Sincerely, Bruce on the Loose, hashtag battered Vol. Bruce, appreciate you, brother. Crowd noise, I don't know, man. You don't have to worry about that until another third Saturday in October, Alabama, but you don't need to wait until that week to figure it out. I mean, you just got to practice repping as best you can with crowd noise, and you can't replicate that. I understand that, but that's just something this team's got to work through. Communication, sideline to field's got to be so much better in that situation. How's O-line recruiting? Last 3 classes, horrible. This class, much better. But, right now you're in trouble on the offensive line, and next year you're in trouble on the offensive line. Hello, transfer portal. I like this year's offensive line class, but compared to last couple of years, but that's kind of it. And then all that stuff on Joe Milton. Yeah, I mean at the end of the day, he's not the only issue. Gosh, he is not the only issue, but he is the quarterback. We can all agree that he has got to play better. Got to play better. Last one I'm going to talk to you right now is Eric. Is there any chance that they go back to the old game clock rules? It seems like I'm watching a Pop Warner football game when the clock doesn't stop on incompletions or when the players get out of bounds. It's really changed football, in my opinion. That is my rant. We'll see. They'll go back and look at everything in the offseason. They'll have a rules committee and all that, and they'll decide kind of what is what. I hate that the clock doesn't stop after first downs. Hate it. And I think Josh Heupel probably does too. Hey, when we come back, though, thank you so much for sending in those questions. Again, so many I still didn't get to, but I wanted to take a few minutes and answer those here on a Wednesday, even though we have Twitter Tuesday. Keep those sending those in, guys, every single Tuesday right here on Locked On Balls. When we come back, Twitter Tuesday. Nope, just kidding. That was yesterday. When we come back, I'm reading something on a monitor over here. When we come back, Pro Football Focus Grades. Can't wait to get into it. And we'll be getting into that right here when we return on Locked On Balls. One thing about our friends, that is Bird Dogs. Bird Dogs stretch khaki shorts are designed to fit slimmer through the thigh and leg, truly giving you that sculpted look. Bird Dog shorts do the exact same thing as Lululemon, but they fit way better. Regular shorts, they're made of stiff, restricting cotton. Bird Dogs fixed that issue by inventing a cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement in your everyday life. Guys, listen up. Bird Dogs uses anti-stink sweat whipping fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. Bird Dogs are functional for any occasion. The versatility is endless. Go golfing, go out on a date, evening out in the town, the pool, working out, lounging around the house, or if you're going to work. Bird Dogs, the slacks, the shorts, they are the perfect fit for you. All right, go to birddogs.com/lockedoncollege. Enter that promo code LOCKEDONCollege at checkout for a free Bird Dogs water bottle with your order. That is birddogs.com/lockedoncollege for a free water bottle at checkout. You don't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise you that. We'll go back into your Wednesday edition of Locked On Vols. Appreciate those questions from Tuesday's show. I wanted to play some of the comments about the quarterback situation with Joe Milton from offensive coordinator Joey Halzle. We've got Josh Ward Wednesday coming up in just a couple of minutes. I do want to go over some Pro Football Focus stuff. Remember, disclaimer, Pro Football Focus grades are something, certainly not everything. The grading scale a little bit different. 90 to 99 considered elite. 80 to 89, very good. 70 to 79, that's an above average starter. 60 to 69 is an average starter. So if you're scoring in the 60s, you are an average football starter at this level. 50 to 59 is below average starter, and less than 50 is a backup level player. Well, if you're watching on YouTube, I've got this grading scale scrolling at the bottom. If you're listening, that is the grading scale. I'm going to get into a little bit, not necessarily the grades because I don't put a whole lot of stock in those, but snap counts. And I've already kind of told you guys on Monday's show, defensive backs, how much they were targeted, missed tackles, stuff like that. Blocking assignments, we're going to go into that a little bit here on this show. First, I'll go over the snap counts defensively. No surprise, your two safeties leading the team in snaps, 71 snaps apiece for Wesley Walker and Jalen McCullough. Aaron Beasley played 70 of the 71 defensive snaps. Kamal Haddon gave Judy Lawley, played 60 snaps. Those were your starting cornerbacks in the day. Remember, Nico Slaughter didn't play. Elijah Herring, starting linebacker, played 53 snaps. Tamari McDonald played 50 snaps. Roman Harrison, Tyler Barron, Roman Harrison, 42 snaps. Tyler Barron, 41 snaps. Omar Norman-Lott, who was suspended the first half of the UTSA game, 39 snaps. James Pierce, 37 snaps. Amari Thomas, 34 snaps. Karat Garland played a lot of snaps, 31 snaps. That's a lot for him. Bryson Eason, 30 snaps. Arian Carter, 19 snaps. Brandon Turnage, 18 snaps. Dominic Bailey, 16 snaps. Tyree West, 14 snaps. Ricky Gibson, love this, 11 snaps. Keep pushing him. Keep pushing him at cornerback, that true freshman. Warren Burrell, 11 snaps. And Caleb Perry, who came in on certain packages when they had 3 linebackers on the field, he played 3 snaps. Offensively, Jeremiah Crawford, Javonte Spraggins, Andre Carrick, John Campbell Jr., and those are your 4 or 5 offensive linemen, played all 66 snaps. Remember, Joe Milton didn't play offense in this one. Ollie Lane played 57 snaps. Dane Davis played 9 snaps at center. You've got Joe Milton played every snap at 66. Brew McCoy played every snap at 66. Romel Keaton played every snap at 66. Squirrel White played 51 snaps. Let's see here. Dante Thornton played 15 snaps. Jalen Wright, 41 snaps. Jabari Small, 25 snaps. Your tight ends, McCallum Castles, 37 snaps. Jacob Warren, 29 snaps. I think they're trying to play Castles a lot here. And that's it. That's all the people that played on offense. Quickly, we'll look at these. In case you're wondering, Joe Milton graded out into 80.3%, and that's considered a very good football player. Bottom half of that, but very good football player, according to Pro Football Focus. Again, just telling you what PFF says. Jalen Wright, 74.7%, which is very good, above average starter. Let's see here. Brew McCoy, 71.2%. Dante Thornton graded out the highest at 84%, but he only played 15 snaps. Jalen Wright, your top 3 graders, if you will, Dante Thornton, Joe Milton, Jalen Wright on the offensive end. A couple offensive linemen did not grade out well. According to Pro Football Focus, Jeremiah Crawford graded out at 43%, which is just atrocious. Andre Carrick graded out at 51%, which is just atrocious. Ollie Lane graded out at 54%, which is just atrocious. Again, we're not lying when they said the offensive line was bad. Let's see here. Javonte Spraggins graded out at 65%, and John Campbell at 61%. What about pass blocking? Who graded out the best there? On the offensive line, your running backs graded out well at pass blocking. That's what you like to see. Andre Carrick, 76.1%, highest offensive lineman in terms of pass blocking. Dane Davis, 73.9%, but he only had 3 reps of pass blocking. He was only in there for about 9 plays. Ollie Lane, 72.5% pass blocking. John Campbell, 60.4% pass blocking. Javonte Spraggins, 55.2% pass blocking, and this is bad. According to Pro Football Focus, Jeremiah Crawford's pass blocking grade was 26.6. Not great. Not great. Run blocking. McCallum Castles had 14 reps at run blocking, 80.6%. That's good at the tight end position. Dane Davis only had 6 reps, but 70%. Javonte Spraggins, 67%. Jacob Warren, 62%. John Campbell Jr., 60%. And then your offensive lineman kind of bringing up the rear here, bringing up the back of the pack. Ollie Lane, 54.5%. Jeremiah Crawford, 49.8%. Andre Carrick, 43.2%. So, again, not great on the offensive line, according to Pro Football Focus. Joe Milton completed 3 of 9 passes, 20 yards down the field or more. 3 of those came on the last series when they were just taking shots. 10 to 20 yards, he completed 4 of 7 for 50 yards. 0 to 10 yards, he completed 5 for 7 for over 50 yards. And behind the line of scrimmage, he was 8 for 8 with 40 yards. He was kept clean on 75% of his dropbacks. He was under pressure 24% of his dropback, 25% of his dropbacks. He was blitzed 29.7% of the time, kept clean 75% of the time. Let's look at defense, shall we? And again, I kind of did some of these. That's why I'm gonna be quick here. I did some of these on Monday, especially the coverage ones. But the missed tackles, you had 12 missed tackles, 2 missed tackles from Kamal Hadden. Sorry. 3 missed tackles from Kamal Hadden, 3 missed tackles from Wesley Walker, a missed tackle from Ricky Gibson, a missed tackle from Tamarian McDonald, a missed tackle from Gabe Jeudy-Lally, a missed tackle from Jalen McCullough, and then a missed tackle from Elijah Herring. So 10 of your 11, I got mixed up, 11 missed tackles, 10 of your 11 missed tackles coming from the secondary, which again is just not great. And then finally, I'll recap quickly these coverages. Just because they weren't targeted and stuff doesn't mean that you didn't give or you didn't play your assignment or you didn't follow through with with running with your guy. Again, this can be kind of misleading, but in terms of targets, Tamarian McDonald was targeted 4 times, gave up 4 receptions for 39 yards, and I believe a touchdown. Yes, a touchdown. 1 touchdown. Gabe Jeudy-Lally targeted 4 times, gave up 3 receptions for 15 yards. Aaron Beasley, again, linebackers did not play well in this game. 5 targets, 5 receptions, 43 yards. Jalen McCullough targeted twice, gave up a reception for 12 yards. Arian Carter targeted twice, gave up 2 receptions for 13 yards. Brandon Turtage, 1 time, 1 reception for 5 yards. That was on 3rd down. Kamal Hadden targeted twice, gave up 1 reception for 11 yards. Warren Burrell targeted once, gave up 1 reception for 18 yards. Again, Pro Football Focus, something, not everything, but I went ahead and spent a little bit of time on that on Monday's show, but I wanted to kind of tie a bow on the Florida game and the grade book with Pro Football Focus here on a Wednesday show. When we come back, Josh Ward Wednesday. Every single Wednesday right here on Locked On Vols. That's what you have to look forward to right here as the show rolls on. Everyone should be empowered to take care of themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jase Medical offers the Jase Case. The Jase Case provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, and it gives you the peace of mind so that you're not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jase Medical makes sure that you have the medication on hand. Jase Medical is simple. They handle everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. Don't get caught unprepared. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jase Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using the promo code Locked On at checkout on jasemedical.com. That's Jase, Jase medical.com, promo code Locked On. It's your Wednesday Locked On Vols. You know what that means. It is Ward Wednesday. Josh Ward, co-host of Josh and Swain on 99.1 The Sports Animal. Josh, I'm gonna blast you here. You said Tennessee was gonna win. Tennessee did not win. What were you thinking?
I was way off. Now, I did try to offer caution in the idea that this would be an easy win for Tennessee and that Tennessee would just roll in, roll up on the Gators, and roll out. My score prediction was 30-24, and I was close in what Tennessee needed to win, by the end and what Florida scored. And I even thought, you know what, if a couple things happen here or there, maybe Tennessee can win 30-29. Obviously, that did not happen. There were too many issues, but the concerns I had about the environment and a night game and mistakes and offensive line play, they showed up, and they were a bigger problem than I anticipated, along with the defensive issues, obviously.
Going into the game, my main key, we always talk about mid-8, middle 8. A lot of people are saying, what's mid-8 mean? Last 4 minutes first half, first 4 minutes second half. Tennessee's been really good in that regard throughout Josh Heupel's tenure, but the first 2 games of the season. But I stress the first 8 or the first quarter. I mean, Tennessee had to get off to a good start, had to. And it was almost literally 8 minutes, a little more than 8 minutes, because Florida's first drive went 7+ minutes, but came up empty, no points. And then Tennessee marches down the field. Joe Milton goes 4 for 4. You hit a deep ball. You hit Ramel Keaton for a touchdown. And the start was great.
Yeah.
And then you had one big play where you give a piss-ass effort. I don't know if YouTube will flag me for that, but I mean, it was really bad by Kamal Hadden. You also had another missed tackle, 62-yard run off to the races, and then the second quarter happens where you give up 3 more touchdowns or whatever it is, and Tennessee runs only 11 plays offensively, had 3 yards passing. The second quarter was just disastrous. What happened, Josh? I mean, it was a great start, and then it just failed.
Yeah, I probably was with you in a similar thought of, so last week on the radio, I said over and over again, probably to the point that people who listen on a regular basis were tired of hearing it, that gotta get out to a good start. First quarter has to be better than the first 2 weeks. I think in the newsletter for Josh and Swain, I put in there, they scored that one opening touchdown against Virginia, and then what's happened since then in the first quarter. But when Tennessee drove down the field and scored, and even after the ETN run and the mess of that play, my thought was, okay, well, then they missed on the PAT. It's still 7-6. Wilson is now out for Florida. Their most explosive, in my opinion. I mean, ETN's a big explosive run, but in terms of giving the ball and watch him go, Wilson is out. They're still at that point in my mind was no reason for Florida to be able to keep up with what Tennessee is capable of offensively. But then Tennessee went back into the mode that we had seen the previous 2 weeks where they couldn't get anything going. And then we're facing a team on the other side that was much more capable of taking advantage of it, Florida compared to Virginia or Austin Peay. And that comes back to the issue that we had of we hadn't seen Tennessee play anybody. The first 2 weeks, Virginia and Austin Peay is as bad of a 2-week stretch to open the season in terms of competition as I can remember seeing for the Vols. So when tested on the road in a tough environment against a team that was locked in and as limited as Graham Mertz has appeared at times, he's a veteran who's played a lot, who was very confident in what their plan was, and they went out and executed. On the flip side, Tennessee was negatively affected by that environment, and then it became too much to keep up with. So that's led to all the frustration that exists after. But the start that Tennessee needed didn't last as long as Tennessee needed, and the Vols couldn't take advantage of the opportunity they had.
Let's be real. People all offseason, myself included, I'm pulling the thumbs here. I'm pulling the thumbs at myself. I talked about how Graham Mertz was a super average quarterback. Guess what? After that game, I still believe that Graham Mertz is a super average quarterback. But Florida was asking him to be average, and he did that exceptionally. No passes over 20 yards down the field. Okay, no passes whatsoever. Just dinking and dunking, a lot of motion, and making those linebackers, those in-the-box players run. And Florida excelled in that regard. So, again, Mertz wasn't asked to be Superman.
Yeah.
What he was asked to do, Josh, he did exceptionally well.
Yeah, he did his job.
And
he took advantage of Tennessee's defense not doing its job. You know, when Kamal Hadden floats in and he has a receiver there hanging out on the sideline when they need to convert 3rd and long, Mertz put the ball where it needed to be. The receiver did a great job being in the right spot with his feet down and completed the pass. Drive extends, confidence builds, frustration maybe sets in on Tennessee's side. They can press a little bit more, press in terms of how they're performing, and it affects the performance. I will pat myself on the back slightly. At the beginning of the season, Swain and I looked at the quarterbacks that Tennessee will face and ranked them in our daily power poll. Which quarterback should Tennessee be concerned with the most? And on my list was Mertz, not because of his exceptional ability or even the exceptional offense that he would be a part of, because of the setup and the lack of belief that he would be able to perform. Overconfidence can set in. He did about what I thought he would need to do to give Florida a chance to win, and then Florida's defense stepped up and did the rest.
Tennessee's tempo has not been what it needs to be the last 2 games. Looked pretty good against Virginia, ran 86 plays. The last 2 weeks, 65 plays, 63 plays. A lot of things go into that, of course. Penalties, behind the sticks, all that type of stuff. Playing from behind. You've got the new clock rule that kind of shrinks the game a little bit. More than anything, though, I think it's You're getting up to the line, you're doing a lot of check with me's, and you're letting that play clock run down. And
Yeah.
part of Tennessee's appeal in this scheme is to hit it. And I get it. You're trying to set up and get the perfect play call and all that, but man, that tempo is not there. And if you don't have that tempo, you have a crappy offensive line right now, a very average quarterback, and you're not scaring anybody, Josh.
Not at all right now.
No.
The issues that Tennessee is running into, I would say that opposing teams are inviting that. Like, hey, if you're not going to be able to go as fast as you've been able to, and at times the quarterback maybe is not processing everything before the ball is snapped as he's supposed to, and we know we can attack this offensive line, bring it. You'll hit some plays because Tennessee still has enough skill position talent, and that's just the way football works in general. But I think opposing teams are expecting Tennessee to make mistakes. They made it at home against Austin Peay. They go on the road. I mean, it's a concern anytime they go on the road this season. So these games that we've talked about later on, like Kentucky when they go there, Missouri's not a gimme right now. That a long way to go. A lot of football to be played, a lot to figure out with this team, all that. So, let's see over the next couple of weeks. Night game at home against South Carolina. Obviously, Tennessee has to beat UTSA this week. Tennessee needs to play well against UTSA. An Austin Peay-like performance against UTSA that would still result in a win is not going to inspire any confidence and is maybe going to be a bigger sign of issues that might last through the next few weeks, maybe the rest of the season. But what Tennessee has been offensively to attack is not there. The personnel's not the same. I mean, the offensive line personnel right now is nowhere close to what Tennessee had on the field a year ago.
No. Quick sidebar. Eli Drinkwitz about blowing that from Missouri with the delay game. Well, what are you doing? I mean, your kicker going for a 56-yard field goal. Oh, wait, now 61.
61 sells better than 56.
It
so
does.
It becomes an even more dramatic and exciting win for the team.
And then right after the game, Drinkwitz goes out there and is yelling at the fans in this press conference. He's like, dude, you're making it. He is so stupid. You are creating a storyline when the storyline should be, hey, your team just won a big game with a 61-yard field goal. All right, this is Locked On Balls. This is not a hate on Eli Drinkwitz, even though he's such a loser in my opinion. Big win, though, for him for sure. You look at this defense. Last thing, we'll get you out of here. This defense, man, it was evident. Tim Banks thought, all right, I'm going to sit back and play some zone. I'm going to put my faith in that front defensive line to put pressure on Graham Mertz. And that's what he did pretty much the entire first half, and it did not work. He played more man. He brought a little bit more pressure. They were more aggressive in the second half. A little bit too late, right? And that's when Florida was really taking the foot off the pedal, too.
Yeah. Mertz
Tennessee's
is not
defense.
at 100%. I think they had concerns with his hand. Again, Wilson's not there. They were ready to – probably didn't have the same level of energy because they're up so big.
Yeah, Tennessee's defense, was super, super aggressive his first 2 years. The first 2 years here with Tim Banks. It's got to remain aggressive, and I think we saw in that first half what happens when you're not playing aggressive. And I think it's one game. The season's not over, but I think the lack of pressure your defensive line, your front created was not great. I think you truly saw the youth and the limitations of that linebacking group. Defense got to respond in a big way, and ultimately that South Carolina game is going to be a huge test.
Yeah, so we get asked at this point, okay, well, what you said in July and August, what's holding up? What was right? What was wrong? I was excited about the linebacker depth for Tennessee, and when Keenan Pili went down, I did think, okay, well, that excitement that we talked about in August, we'll see if it holds up, and it was premature. I would say they needed Pili out there to go along with Aaron Beasley. And that's not to say Elijah Herring's not going to be a really good linebacker for Tennessee, or obviously with the freshman, but Pili was brought in as a reason, and he was the starter for a reason, and he's played a lot of football. So
there's a difference in liking that room and the potential and the makeup right now, and then when one injury can change everything.
Yeah. I think the conversation should have been more about potential for the group than the depth of the group, because depth really comes down to what do you have right now, not what can you rely on. Just like in the secondary, that's part of the problem. The depth was bodies, not depth in terms of how many guys they can count on. And Danico Slaughter being out there, if he plays, I don't know what the total impact is, but not having him leaves a bunch of players that I don't know anybody that has confidence in there. Like I like Gabe Jeudy-Lally. He got tackled on Etienne's run by Wesley Walker before Haddon's whatever. So they just. I still like the combination of Amari Thomas, Omar Norman-Lott, Bryson Eason in terms of their ability. I still like the potential of James Pierce and what Tyler Barron can be, but they need it to be more consistent. And you can't just flash a couple of plays against SEC teams. You can't against Virginia and Austin Peay because they're not going to be able to do anything on other plays. Then you have these big plays where you get home and everybody gets excited. But against Florida, I recognize a couple of obviously missed holding calls. I get that. But overall, the guys up front just didn't do what they were supposed to do. And every level, I think, is probably going to face some questions. Byron Young is missed. Keenan Peely on this year's team is missed. And in the secondary, fans are saying, can we see more of the young players? And I don't know that they make a difference. I don't know that more opportunity for Ricky Gibson or an opportunity for Jordan Matthews or Christian Conyer, these well-thought-of freshman corners, I don't know if that makes a difference in terms of the result. But what you're seeing from the veterans is going to lead you to say, well, can I get so-and-so out there to at least give them a shot? And if that's your opinion as a Tennessee fan, I totally understand it. I don't have any kind of response for you. If your question is, wait a minute, I thought the veterans are supposed to be trusted. I don't have any trust in them. I understand why.
Same concept, quarterback position. That's a lot of fans are thinking that right now. Same concept.
Yeah, and also you make that change in the secondary. It doesn't have as much of shouldn't have as much of an impact on the team, and because you can play multiple guys. Quarterback, if you're making a change, you're making a change, right? And Tennessee only has two guys. One of them's a true freshman. One of them is a senior who's been in college football for a long time. And if you give up on him, I'm not saying he checks out, but that's a
real thing, though. I mean, it's if you're making a move, you are making the move for good.
Yeah. So that's a big deal, which I think people recognize. But I also get it why people want that change too. I get it.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, this UTSA game is going to be a huge one. Tennessee should win. It was more appealing in the offseason, I think, but still, it's not a game where you can just sleepwalk through. You gotta. I would like to see Tennessee make up for lost time, but more than anything, you need a win. You need to work out some kinks. So that's going to be huge. South Carolina coming in, night game, all that and more. Josh and Swain, noon to 3 on 99.1 The Sports Animal and the Josh and Swain newsletter, where you can subscribe to in the show notes right now. What do you guys have coming up the rest of the week on Josh and Swain and in that newsletter?
Yeah, so I've teased the Cover Tuesday segment. You will want to go back and listen to Jonathan Wade, former Tennessee corner, who he teased his own segment by tweeting to Swain saying, hey, can I vent to you on here or do I need to do it in private? And everybody said, save it for Cover Tuesday. So go back and listen to that 1 o'clock on Tuesdays with Jonathan Wade. And appreciate the pub on the newsletter. It's free once a week into your email inbox.
Josh, appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, that is Josh Ward, 99.1 The Sports Animal, Josh and Swain, noon to 3. Go ahead and check out that show every single Wednesday, Ward Wednesday, right here on Locked On Balls. That's going to do it here for this edition of Locked On Balls. Can't thank you enough for being here, making Locked On Balls your first listen each and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, 30 minutes or maybe a couple minutes more, talking all Tennessee Volunteers. It is your go-to Tennessee Volunteers podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. We're almost at 9,000 subscribers on YouTube as well, so can't thank you enough. Literally just celebrated 8K, like, I want to say 3 weeks ago, right before the season started. We're just a couple away. We're probably going to hit 9K by the time this episode hits YouTube, so can't thank you enough for that. We'll continue to look ahead to UTSA. We'll talk more about this Florida loss and what Tennessee can do moving forward. That and a whole lot more right here on Locked On Balls. Appreciate you guys.